In this chapter, we will have look on ACES AOVs. In previous chapter, I explained already new Redshift color management, how to correctly set up textures, ACES CG workflow, and how to correctly save rendered results. For demonstration how works Redshift AOVs with ACES color management, I'm using the same scene as in the previous chapter. Rendering color space is set up already to ACES CG. As next step, I will go into the Redshift AOV Manager, where you can see a list of random AOV passes. How to set up AOV passes and all details about them I explained already in AOV chapters, so I do not need to explain these details again. All works the same way as before new Redshift color management. But important is to remember that if you are using ACES in current C4D version, always be sure that your list of AOV's passes contains beauty pass as well. As next step, I will render result inside the Redshift render view, and I will save this render directly in the render view as well. AOVs I have to save into multilayer EXR. For second render, I will use standard save section, and I will render it into multipass EXR in C4D environment. As next step, both renders I will open in Nuke. Nuke naturally supports ACES color management, so it's a very good tool for checking out renders with ACES CG rendering color space. In Nuke Viewer, we can see now how looks main RGB render saved directly from Redshift render view. And now how looks main RGB render saved from C4D save section. So as you can see, here is the proof that C4D save section will bake in view transform. And here is one more time comparison how different looks these renders in ACES workflow. Is there the way how to work now with this baked-in view transform? Actually, yes. In case that C4D will bake in Anton mapped view transform, it will change color gamut and dynamic range of EXR file. And this render is not anymore ACES CG render, but linear sRGB render instead. So in this case, you can use OCIO color space node, where instead ACES CG color space, you will identify this render as utility linear sRGB render and transform it into the scene linear ACES CG color space. And as you can see in Viewer now, this OCIO color space transformation will provide the result which is very close to proper ACES CG render. But remember that this OCIO compensation is not perfect and cannot extend missing dynamic range. So as you can see, these renders are not identical. And in case that the scene contains different lighting condition or more contrasty look, differences between these two renders will be even more obvious. But what about AOV passes? Is this view transform issue in C4D affecting AOV passes as well? Luckily, no. AOV passes are correctly rendered with both methods, so doesn't matter you will save AOV passes directly from render view or you will use C4D environment instead. But for correct result, you have to do one more step. If we will have look on AOV passes saved from render view, as you can see all passes work straight away and you do not need any extra steps. But if we will have look on AOV passes saved from C4D save section, as you can see RGB pass contains baked-in view transform. But good news is that beauty pass and all other AOV passes are rendered correctly. So if you will skip main RGB render and you will use Beauty Pass instead, you do not need to be worried about view transform issue anymore. This can be helpful if you would like to render animation and render it with standard C4D save option. So in this case, render out Beauty Pass only and all will work correctly. And as next step, I will shuffle out Beauty Pass from Multilayer EXR. And as you can see in Viewer, now are both renders totally identical. So you do not need anymore any OCI or color space tricks or inverted gamma corrections, because Beauty Pass works straight away and represents proper ACCG color space.